In the days when the moon was young, and the forests of Ilu Wura whispered secrets to those who could listen, there lived a hunter named Ogunlere, strong in arm, steady in heart, and gentle in spirit. Among all hunters, none could match his power, yet among all men, none was as humble. He greeted the elders with respect and spoke kindly to the young. If you met him on the road, you would not know that his name traveled further than the sound of the talking drum. Ogunlere came from a long line of hunters. His two grandfathers were warriors of the forest, men who spoke the language of beasts and trees. His father, Odewumi, was a hunter and a herbalist, a man whose charm could call the rain and whose herbs could heal the broken. Before he joined the ancestors, Odewumi said to his son, "My child, pride is a trap that catches the great before the small. A hunter who walks with pride will fall before his own shadow. Remember this, the strength of one hunter lies in the wisdom of many. Learn from others, share what you know, and you will stand like the Iroko that fears no storm." Ogunlere took his father's words and bound them to his heart like a charm. He learned from the old and shared with the young. His fame grew like the morning sun, shining beyond Ilu Wura. But as it is in every land, when light grows bright, shadows also rise. Many loved him, yet a few envied him. Still, Ogunlere was not careless. He walked with the protection of his forefathers and strengthened himself with knowledge from far and near. The charms of Odewumi lived in him, and the spirits of the forest watched over him. And so he lived in peace among his people. A hunter whose greatness was wrapped in humility. To the young hunters, he was more than a teacher. He was a living proverb. No matter how high the bird flies, it must one day rest upon the tree. Ogunlere's story still lives in the hearts of the people of Ilu Wura, a reminder that true power bows before wisdom and greatness kneels beside humility.
There was a time when Ogunlere joined other hunters for the Great Hunt, a tradition in Ilu Wura where men of courage entered the deep forest to prove their strength and skill. Now, among those hunters were some who smiled at Ogunlere in the open, but sharpened envy in their hearts. His success had become their shadow. They whispered in secret corners, saying, "Let us see how great he truly is. This time we shall bind his hands with charms. Let him hunt like the rest of us." So they conspired in darkness, tying invisible knots with spiritual powers, thinking they had sealed his fate. They believed the forest would silence his name that day. But Ogunlere's heart was clean and his spirit strong. Before dawn, he knelt by his father's hunting bag and whispered a short prayer. "O ancestors of the forest, guide my path. May truth walk before me and deceit stumble behind." 15 minutes into the forest, Ogunlere's arrow found its mark. An antelope fell. An hour later, another fell by his bow. By sunset, his hunting sack overflowed. Ogunlere alone had caught 75% of the day's game. The forest had spoken, and the spirits had judged. When they returned to the village, whispers filled the air. The envious hunters turned upon themselves, arguing bitterly. "Your charm was weak," one said. "No, yours was fake," another shouted. Their own tongues revealed their evil, and the secret of their deeds came to light like fire in dry grass. The elders of Ilu Wura gathered, and the truth spread across the land, that no darkness can cover a heart filled with light, and no charm can bind a man whose hands are clean. Ogunlere did not say anything. He simply smiled and gave thanks to his fathers, for wisdom and humility had once again conquered envy. After the great hunt, the fame of Ogunlere spread beyond Ilu Wura. Travelers spoke his name beside rivers and marketplaces. Songs were made about his skill, and elders told children to walk in his humility. But with fame comes testing. One moonless night, as he prepared his hunting tools, the wind grew cold and the forest fell silent. Even the crickets held their breath. A shadow moved near the edge of his hut, and a voice older than time whispered, "Ogunlere, son of Odemomi, the forest calls you." He knew that voice. It was the voice of the spirits of the wild, the guardians who watched over true hunters. They had seen his purity and now desired to test his heart. At dawn, he set out alone. No companions, no dogs, no songs, just his bow, his charms, and his father's old hunting horn. The forest seemed alive that day, breathing softly around him. Hours passed, and then he came upon a strange sight, a leopard trapped beneath a fallen tree, growling weakly. Any ordinary hunter would have seen meat or a trophy, but Ogunlere saw suffering. He knelt, whispered words of peace, and carefully lifted the tree with a spear. The leopard rose, circled him 3 times and vanished, leaving behind a faint mist shaped like a woman. The spirit of the forest had taken her form and spoke. "You have freed not a beast, but a guardian. You have passed the test of mercy." From that day, the forest became his ally. Wherever he went, no harm touched him. Rain never fell upon his path, and wild beasts bowed when he passed. Years later, when his hair had turned grey like morning ash, Ogunlere gathered the young hunters beneath the Iroko tree and said, "Power is not in your bow or charm. It is in your heart. The forest watches the heart before it hears the horn."
When he finally joined his fathers, the trees of Ilu Wura swayed without wind, and the drums of the land beat softly through the night. To this day, when hunters step into the forest, they whisper his name, Ogunlere, the humble one, guide our path.